A lot of people love listening to music when studying their target language, and I do too. It's not something that I do all the time, but in order to break up the activities that I do in my target language, sometimes I like to listen to music. And of course, I love listening to it anyway, so why not do it in my target language? When it comes to Korean, a lot of people love listening to K-pop, which is fine and all. I don't want to bash on K-pop or say that K-pop is trash and all that kind of stuff, but if you really want to use music to improve your Korean, there is better music to listen than K-pop. And this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, K-pop songs use a lot of slang words, which are really hard to understand, especially if you're at a beginner stage in Korean. Apart from that, K-pop songs usually use lots of words that you don't really need in your day-to-day conversations. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn unusual words, but when you're at a beginner, intermediate, that is, if you're not an advanced learner, those words won't really be useful to you because you're not going to see them as often as other words. Another problem with K-pop songs is that they're not really great for listening practice. This is because lots of voices that you hear are modified with voice effects like auto-tune and all that stuff, and that makes hearing words a little more difficult. And then lastly, K-pop is a pretty fast-paced genre, which is not extremely forgiving for beginners given the fact that the pronunciation is also not super clear. So what kind of music is best if you want to improve your Korean? My personal suggestion is to take a listen to Korean indie music, and within that genre there's a group that I really love and I think everyone should listen to if they're learning Korean. And that group is called 장기하와 얼굴들. And that means 장기하 and the faces. But why should you listen to this particular group? Now, I want to talk to you about 3 qualities that this group has that make Korean learning with songs a lot easier. The first great feature of their songs is that they always use the same grammatical or syntax structure, and they just change the words within that. And this is great if you want to learn how a certain grammar point is used in a sentence and if you want to add more words to your vocabulary. The device of changing words within the same grammar point is really useful for learners because it makes them understand exactly in what instances that grammar point is being used. Another great thing is that the vocabulary that this group uses is extremely simple and related to real life topics. Now I'm gonna give you 3 examples of how this device is being used in their songs. In the first example, which is this song called 괜찮아요, there's the same sentence repeated twice. And the sentence is 나는 뭐뭐뭐 좋아하지만 당신을 안 좋아해도 괜찮아요. So they use the same grammar structure, 뭐뭐 하지만 땡땡땡 괜찮아요. And this is great if you want to understand when the word 괜찮아요 is used or when 하지만 is used. In the second example of another song from the same group, you can see the repetition of 냄새도, and the first word always changes. And you can also see the use of these words that are extremely simple, like 냄새, 고기, 생선. These are words that you would most probably hear anyways, but using them in songs is not as easy to find because usually songs have different kinds of topics, not day-to-day life, but Korean indie is really good for that. They really talk about ordinary life kind of situations, so that is great. The third song, which is 나 혼자, has a great example of 뭐뭐거나, which is doing something or doing something else, etc., etc. And you can see this 거나 structure with verbs used all throughout the song, changing just the activity that they are doing. And of course, the activity that they're doing, the object of the action, is marked by the particle 을 or 를. Again, a great example of using their songs to learn Korean. Another great feature of the group 장기하 and the Faces is that the singer 장기하, his singing style is great if you want to learn Korean. This is because he sings almost like he's talking to you. So he's not really singing melodies, he's more just like talking over the song. This is a singing device that has been used by singer-songwriters in the past, and he uses the same name for quite a lot of songs actually. And if you want to take a listen, because I cannot put music of course here because of copyright, I'll link you to 2 videos, 2 examples of this, and see how much you can understand compared to a standard K-pop song. This talking style singing technique can be used to your advantage in language learning to get some great listening practice. The third feature of this group that's really great for Korean learners is that you can actually learn a lot about Korean society. This is because most of the topics of their songs revolve around the life of young Koreans. So you can actually learn a lot about the struggle that they're facing in society, the problems that they have, the issues, and all that kind of stuff. And this is great because when you're learning a language, you're not just learning the language itself, you're actually learning about the culture of a country, about its society, the way that people live, the way the people think. And this group is great for that. I'm gonna leave you 2 of my song recommendations if you want to check out that reflect this kind of young people struggle kind of thing. Now, what about you? Do you like to listen to music in your target language? What groups do you like listening to? Do you like them? Do you have some recommendations for great groups that you can use to learn a foreign language? Now, share your answers and your resources here in the comments down below. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to keep on watching free videos about language learning, and share this video to anyone who wants to learn Korean through songs, and maybe not just listen to K-pop, because you know, you can listen to different stuff as well. As always, have fun with language learning.